Now, for today's opening keynote, please join me in welcoming Carla Vernón, CEO of The Honest Company. Carla will be interviewed by Chief Content Officer of Trybe, Krystina Gustafson.
Hi, Carla.
Krystina, good to see you.
You as
Hello.
well. Looking good. We're very color matched.
We have it.
Loving the jumpsuit.
Yes, we've got the bad girl vibe today.
We do. Well, really excited to be having a conversation with you here today because I think probably everyone in our audience is very familiar with The Honest Company, founded, a little over a decade ago by Jessica Alba, looking for just kind of better products, quite frankly, more sustainable, better ingredients, better quality. But I suspect some folks might not be as familiar with what you guys have been up to as of late. I think Raquan mentioned you've been in the CEO seat for about a year and a half now, and over the past year, your stock is up some 200%. So it sounds like things are going pretty well under your leadership. Maybe you could quickly just get us caught up on what you've been up to during your time in the CEO seat.
Thank you for that. It's good to see everybody here. Glad to see everyone at Groceryshop. Thank you for having us. I love telling people about this chapter we're on with Honest. So you're right, Krystina. Honest is about a 13-year-old personal care products company, and we sell products that are formulated to a very high standard of clean, having a list of 3,500 ingredients that we do not allow in our personal care products. And our products span from the baby category with things like diapers and wipes and baby body washes and lotions, all the way to beautiful skincare products that I love, and household cleaning and household surface products. So it's a very broad portfolio. The company went public about 3 years ago, so before I got there. And as the company went public and came out of the pandemic, the market was really changing to expect a lot of these younger companies to start having a better bottom line financial model. I came to Honest because I knew there was a massive opportunity to grow the product brand awareness, to scale the brand. But when I got there, the quick and immediate work got to be focused around driving our transformation initiative and improving the bottom line.
And how'd you go about that?
When I arrived, what I observed was a brand that was very strong, but a company that was full of very young employees or leaders that did not necessarily have as many experiences at best practice CPG companies. So one of the first things we did was instill what we call a FIFA mindset, which was an acronym I made up in the shower one morning.
Is it soccer? Or
It's not the International Soccer Organization. It sounds like that, makes it easy to remember. And the acronym stands for focused, executionally excellent. See, that's the FIFA. Focused, executionally excellent, fast, and aligned. And that became a mantra that affected everything we did. So we first inspected our financial model and figured out where were the weak spots. We realized that we needed to quickly improve cash flow and that our inventory levels were at a level that was too high for our business model. We began focusing on reducing our inventory levels, scaling our product portfolio into the areas where we wanted to focus, and then also instilling a lot of best practices as how we operate our day-to-day businesses as a team, and really becoming very goal and KPI and metric oriented.
And I know you've talked about having to really make some tough decisions early on entering the business. I think there's probably also, by the way, a lot of people in the audience who can commiserate with exactly what you're talking about. A lot of, high growth startups that went from a growth at all costs mentality to really having to be much more efficient. Some of those tough decisions you made were exiting markets, Europe, Asia, where you felt like you weren't necessarily getting those types of returns that you would have expected and liked. A year and a half into the role, do you feel like all those tough decisions are over and now it's time to focus on growth, or do you think there's still more work to do on some of those tough decisions and cost equations?
Having worked at General Mills and Amazon, I have such great training on the discipline practices that let you constantly find ways to evolve and optimize your business practices and to have very ambitious goals about how you improve the financials, including expanding gross margin. So I feel very confident that because I've only been in the job just shy of 2 years, my executive management team has only been in place as a team for about a year and a half, and our product portfolio is still in such early stages in terms of availability that if you think about all of those areas where we're still just newly advancing our new, more clear transformation initiative and strategy, that gives me reason to feel very optimistic that there's lots more fruit on the tree.
Yeah. So kind of looking ahead now, obviously the hard work is never done, so don't want to
Never
oversimplify
done.
that.
My team knows we can find more.
Product availability is a really good theme because I know expansion at retail has been one of the key pillars that you are looking toward as you continue to drive growth. I'd love to double click into that a little bit. In your mind, is that more expanding shelf space with existing retailers, or is that, capturing entirely new retailers, potentially new channels for your products?
One of the things that makes Honest really unique is there haven't been very many consumer packaged goods companies born in the last 10 or 20 years that are a complete portfolio company that operates in multiple categories.
Right.
And as we've been realizing the power of bringing clean product formulations into categories, things are still so new for us that it gives us an opportunity to take what was born as a digital brand model. We were really launched first with our own honest.com website, which means that we led the way as far as being a digital first brand. And even today, you will see in our revenue numbers that we sell about 50% of our revenue in digital. That includes the e-tailers, and about 50% of our revenue in brick and mortar. That's a very different mix than most consumer products companies, because consumers in large part still do the majority of their everyday essential shopping at brick and mortar retailers. So we have a real opportunity to continue expanding into new accounts.
Yep.
There are still retailers that don't carry a single Honest product at all. And then within the accounts we have an opportunity to grow into new aisles. I'll use this as an example. We've been known for our wipes for a long time. We make phenomenal wipes. Most of our wipes have been in the baby aisle, but we now introduced a flushable wipe last year, and that brings us into a new aisle of the store with a technology that we're very good at.
Very interesting. So it sounds like you, despite having sort of this broad portfolio of products, you're still very focused on kind of merchandising in a more traditional way where you're showing up in the proper aisle versus, envisioning sort of like an Honest company shop and shop. Is that a fair assessment?
I think that's right. What we want to do is we want to be at the right place when you're on your mind thinking of that product need you have. I don't want you to be farther than a hand's length from an Honest product.
Yeah. And then you're going to have different merchandising opportunities, to your point, when you're sort of online, especially on your direct channels. So I think that makes a lot of sense. As you're talking about sort of these newer channels, what are you looking at? Where can we maybe expect to see you that we wouldn't have expected maybe 10 years ago?
Listen, it's no big secret. We'll be everywhere. Eventually we will, because I love to take my best practices from CPG. So I look at brands across the portfolios of the biggest blue chip CPGs. I've read everybody's CAGNY presentation. I look at them all as mentors and coaches for the journey that we're on. So even though we got into Walmart last year, we've been very strong at Amazon, we're very strong at Target. Even though we got into Walmart, that's an example of an account where we have 100% of stores carry our diapers and wipes, but only half of the stores carry our baby personal care. So we can grow even in stores we've entered. Right. And then there are stores where you walk in and you don't see us yet. You wouldn't see an Honest product at the club channel right now. You wouldn't see an Honest product at the dollar channel, but frankly, there's a lot of grocery retailing activity at your classic grocers that I like a lot, and I think we can do bigger things there.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about that because, even kind of going back to the beginning of our conversation, better for you products, you think more expensive, you're talking about lower cost channels. Who is the Honest Company shopper today, and how are you able to sort of connect with someone who might be more budget conscious and shopping in a dollar store?
At one of the things that I learned a long time ago at General Mills is I don't like to judge that based on what income you have, whether or not you like to choose to buy high quality products that solve a need you and your family have. So I don't really look at our consumer opportunity as limited because of the income spectrum, and here's why. Occurrences of children with allergies has skyrocketed. It's doubled since 1997.
Interesting.
And the expectations of the shopper demand for sensitive skincare products is expected to also double by 2030. That's agnostic of how much money you make. It does mean that I need to bring the right value equation to you in that channel, but everybody wants the best for their family. And it is worth it to you if products that irritate your skin are a problem in your household, and these products you can feel comfortable and confident using.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. That's probably not going to be the space where you trade down if you need a product like that. I also just think about consumer behavior these days, right? There's a Dollar General attached to my apartment building. And so I wouldn't consider myself a typical dollar store shopper. But yes, if I'm running out of diapers or wipes, that's going to be where I'm going to go to purchase them.
It's about having the right thing for you in that set.
Exactly. I want to talk about some of the interesting dynamics that are happening just kind of in the space that you're playing in, baby. Present company aside, birth rates are down currently.
One new honest consumer on the way.
I expect to be fully pitched when we get off stage.
Oh, we're gonna work hard to earn your trust and loyalty.
I love it. But birth rates are down, and so it feels like companies are kind of taking a couple different strategies to try to fuel growth. Right? It's sort of making these more premium versions of products that have been out there for a while. All the different sorts of diapers on the market that prevent blowouts, or swaddle diapers, and I could go on and on. I don't know what any of it means yet, so you can give me a crash course on that when we get backstage. But we're also seeing a lot of new gadgets come to market, right? Whether it's a product for mom or just to kind of help you take care of baby better. But it just feels like everything is going up market at a time where consumers are more concerned about their spending. So when you kind of look at those two things together, how do you think about product innovation at The Honest Company?
The consumer is the boss. So my team and I are constantly checking the data. We're checking on the retail data, the scanner data, as well as the consumer trend data to figure out if the products we are offering are rising above all of those stressors and constraints and delivering value according to the only vote that matters, the consumer, right? Add to cart, scan it across the grocery scanner. That's the only thing that matters. And what that's taught us is that natural products are still outpacing in baby and personal care conventional growth rates. Honest is gaining share in the categories that we are in. We recently became the #1 baby personal care brand of all brands at Target. So not #1 natural care brand. That means people are seeing a brand that happens to be in the natural products category as so delivering on mainstream needs that we have now surpassed all the classic conventional mainstream brands. That tells me that today's shoppers have an equation they're making, and the way in which that product actually suits their family or suits themselves is very high on that equation.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I think, one thing that I will say as someone who's familiarizing myself with this category, right, it's very overwhelming, and oftentimes you don't know what you need or don't. And sometimes you feel like you're kind of getting preyed upon, right? It's like, oh, you have to have this product, or your baby's going to be miserable, or oh, you have to have this, or, mom's going to be miserable. When you're thinking about innovation, is it existing problems that families already know that they need, or are you trying to, look 10 years out at problems that might arise? You kind of get where I'm coming at? Like,
Yes.
How do you think about that?
One of the things we say at Honest was that Honest wasn't actually created for the purpose of clean. It was created for the purpose of love, which is that there's a love that parents have for a new baby There's a love you need to have for yourself when you say, I deserve to finally have skincare that doesn't give me a rash and crazy things on my face. I deserve to feel that when I'm wiping the surfaces of my house or when I'm wiping my dog's paws or my pet's paws, that I just feel confident that there's been no junk, no nothing. We exist to really allow you to more seamlessly and confidently get on with the work of love, loving the people you care for. And that is not a new need. That's a need that's existed as long as there's been people, there's been a need to really care for your people. Right. So what we focus on with innovation is, given that that's what we do, personal care products that use a clean formulation to give you the confidence that you can take care of yourselves and your loved ones, where can we deliver that in a way that hasn't evolved forward enough for the market?
Okay.
And so often that means that there are categories that we can enter, like we just launched this amazing ageless skincare product. It's a serum and face cream line. It's already available online on our website and on some e-retailers. And it's a vegan collagen. Okay. So there's a lot of talk about people wearing products with collagen and people using collagen, but some people are saying, well, that's really got to be oriented against my own personal values, right? And so they might be wanting a plant-based solution. And so what we do is we marry the best of both. Best serum you've ever had in your life, Honest Ageless Serum, also plant-based, no compromises whatsoever, right? And we did that same thing in our flushable wipes. We didn't invent the serum category. We didn't invent the flushable wipes category. But when we come and bring peace of mind.
Yeah, I really love that. It's interesting too, when you were sort of talking about the wiping the paws and just thinking back to what you were saying before about all the different categories. You know, when you are thinking about new moms, people who are new to the baby category, it is overwhelming, right? You don't really know where to go. You don't know who to trust, and you have a very limited amount of time to get in front of that shopper. How do you think about that within kind of like the broader context of your portfolio? I mean, do you feel like the best opportunity is to get in front of someone in their typical consumer journey? Is it when they're entering this new phase of life and you're capturing them there and then you introduce them to the rest of the products, or is it kind of a combination of all those things?
I'm really nerdy about this. I am obsessed with consumer behavior, and I'm also obsessed with telling the truth about consumer behavior and not telling ourselves narratives that we would like to believe because it's convenient for our brand. So what I would say is the truth about consumer behavior is every need you have in your life as a consumer, you're a different person as you enter that need. When you need something to drink, hydrate, you're a different consumer. When you're trying to buy a vacuum cleaner, you're a different consumer. And when you're now going to enter this baby care category that is overwhelming, you're going to be a different consumer. I have the opportunity to meet you at the beginning of that journey. If I consider you sort of a new potential shopper for me in any category, I could serve you. So I don't only want to say that there's only one way for us to meet and build our relationship. Some people are never going to go down that baby aisle. So I don't want to be dependent on assuming if you didn't have Honest in your life as a baby company that now you're off of the list for us. No, we believe that there are some people who are going to first come through skincare. Our wipes are legendary. There's some people that are going to come through the surface wipes category, and some that'll come through baby.
Yeah, no, I love that answer. And just kind of hearing you describe it that way, thinking about the whole portfolio is really enlightening. We are down to 2 minutes. I don't know where the time has gone, but you mentioned earlier you've had experience at some amazing companies, General Mills, but Amazon is the one that I want to key in on here. Okay. You had P&L responsibility there for beauty, baby, and wellness. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was when you first really got exposed to the potential that the Honest Company had. What real learnings did you take from running those businesses that you've applied in your new role?
Yes, I was the vice president of consumables at Amazon, which is actually everything center store: food, candy, beverages, baby, beauty, household paper, well, all of it. It's amazing. I learned a massive appreciation for all the essential categories and how much they are in people's lives every day. This is the stuff that's just like makes our homes go. And I really learned to appreciate understanding what are the new emergents, what are the stalwarts that are holding it down and been holding it down, and what does that tell us about the truths about how consumer behavior is changing, and also the truths about how some things stay classic and never change. I loved that at Amazon, but I also loved at Amazon. Amazon operates with 16 leadership principles. Everyone in that company can recite those leadership principles, and they create a great sense of discipline in how you operate and use data, and really, again, don't fall into traps or fairy tales of the way you want things to be, but you're very crisply aligned with fact-based growth, and that's what I brought to Honest.
No, I love it. Well, Carla, our time has flown. It has been such a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to all of you as well.
Thanks, everyone.